Barry knows cam time, even though I shaved. You're probably saying to yourself, Barry, you're an unusual board game reviewer, and you'd be right. And you're probably saying to yourself, Barry, you don't do many videos a year. And again, you'd be right. Now, why don't I do many videos a year? Well, because I work. And this is where I work. Outside in this place. Yes, me, I look after all these vineyards 9 months a year, which I think qualifies me as the perfect person to review a new game called Viticulture. Viticulture is a worker placement board game about owning a vineyard and making the most out of that land and making money, making wine to win the game. It gets better and better. Technically, this game is a board game about the job that I do. But why would someone want to play a game about a job that they do every day? Well, for me, moving to France, I had no friends. And my first friends that I had were my work colleagues. And so I thought, why don't I try get them introduced into board gaming? Because board gaming is a good social way to unwind and have a laugh and have fun and find out who your real friends are. So I thought, yeah, I'm going to look for a winemaking game. Now I had a good look around the internet to try and find a good winemaking game, and there were lots. There was Vino, Vintage, Vinos, and several others. But they all seemed overly complex, and the one game that came to mind was this one. Not Tuscany, no. Viticulture, because of its simplicity. And the second reason is because I love my job. Each player will have a starting mat like this, which is their land that they have. They also have 3 money and they have 3 workers, 2 small and 1 large. Also, each player will receive a Pinot card and a summer visitor card randomly. During the game, you'll be developing your land. You'll be planting vines in your 3 fields here. You'll probably need a trellis or an irrigation to plant certain types of grapes because different grapes have different needs. You can plant, well, you can't plant a windmill, but you can build a windmill, which will give you a victory point whenever you plant something. You'll have a tasting room, which is whenever you do a tour, you'll get a victory point. But all these things cost a lot of money. So let's give an example of what happens. You'll be planting some grapes into a field. So for example, if I plant this Pinot here, I'm going to need a trellis, so I'd have to pay for the trellis to be built. And then if I build this, plant this, I'm building grapes and planting buildings. If I plant this Cabernet Sauvignon, I'm going to need an irrigation as well as a trellis to plant it. And some of them, as you can see, don't need anything whatsoever. You can just plant them willy-nilly. And during the game, you'll be harvesting a field or maybe 2 fields to recuperate and get a récolte of grapes to put in the pressoir, the crush pad. Okay, so for example, if I was to harvest this field, I'd get a level 5 quality red grape and a level 1 quality white grape. As you can see, these numbers add up to 6, which is the total value of what a field can hold. You can't hold anything more. I couldn't plant that there. But you can, if you build a yoke, take something off and then move things around, which is always useful. So if I harvest this field in the future, I will have a level 5 white and a level 1 red. During the game, you will be also pressing these grapes and turning them into wines. At the beginning of the game, you only have a small cellar. You don't have a medium or a large cellar. So the only thing you can build, so if I was to crush this level 5 red grape, it would become a level 3 red grape. And whereas this level 1 red grape would just be a level 1. If I had a slightly larger cave, that red grape would have been a 5. And also what happens is when you have a medium cellar or medium cave, you can make sparkling wines and bubbly sparkling blush wines, rosés as they're known here. And that's just the basic combination of two colours. So for example, if I combine a white 5 and a red 1, that makes 6, and that makes a rosé 6. Again, a champagne would be a combination of 1 white wine and 2 red wines to make a champagne. But as you can see, you need a large cellar. The players' individual player boards are a safe zone where you will not be attacked in any way. You just go about and do the jobs that you want to do. But the main player's board is where all the conflict will be, because you'll be placing workers in spaces and you'll be fighting for positions for jobs that you want to do on your turn. And sometimes it can be really annoying. You want to plant some grapes but you can't because all the spaces are taken up. Let's have a closer look at some of these zones and what they do. The game is broken down into rounds, and each round is a year, and each year starts with spring. Spring is this wake-up track where players will be going in an order and deciding what time they want to get up. If they want to get up early, they will be the first person to put one of their workers onto the board. If they want to get up late, they will be the last player to put their people on the board and may miss out on spaces that they really want, but they will get quite a significant bonus. So for example, if you wanted to be the last person to play, you get an extra worker to play with. If you were in the middle here, you'd get an extra money, and as you're first, you don't get any extra bonus whatsoever. In the summer, you'll be able to do some of these actions with the yellow circles. Each action has 3 circles, and that's for depending on how many players there are. So in a 2-player game, you will only be able to use the first circle, whereas in a 6-player game, you can use all 3. They also have these little bonuses in the middle which let you give money or extra victory points or draw extra cards or plant extra vines. So basically on your turn you'll be going, oh, I want to do this. So on that action you'll be able to draw a vine card, and that goes into your hand. And then later on, you'll be wanting to plant that vine card onto your little piece of terrain. You may want to go on a tour and get some money. You'll recuperate 2 money, but if you're on that space, you get 3 money. You may wish to build a structure, so you may wish to build a trellis, or you may wish to build a windmill, or upgrade your cave, your cellar. That's the English word. You may wish to sell any of your grapes that you've harvested already, but you don't want to make it into wine and just get some money for it. And up here we have visitor cards. You'll see what happens in autumn. In the autumn you get to draw either a summer visitor card or a winter visitor card. Now these can be played in their respective time zone, so like in the summer for a summer card and winter for the winter card, and each of these gives you kind of like a little special power. For example, this ornithologist, if you pay 3 you can upgrade your cellar to the next level. Now the first cellar costs 4 and the second cellar costs 6, so if you've already built your second cellar, the medium cellar, to build that it costs half the price, so that's a bonus. Some of these guys let you do 2 actions that you can't normally do. So like this one will let you draw an order card and a winter visitor, or some of them may even let you draw a plant card and also plant it. And then we go into winter. Winter is these blue circles. So as you can see, you can play your winter visitor card here, your summer visitor card there for the summer, but only in those time zones. You can put one of your workers here, pay 4, and you'll get an extra worker for the next year. And then you can get up to 6 to help you out during the game. If you go here, you can harvest one of your fields, or 2 of your fields if you go on the special action space. You harvest 2 fields, you turn your grape cards into actual grapes on your crush pad. And then you go here, and then you turn your crushed grapes into wine and add them to your cellar. And then you want to sell your wine, you need to go here, but you need an order card. These purple cards are the order cards, and they come in varieties of different types. So like this one, you need 2 rosés, a level 6 rosé and a level 5 rosé. This one, you just need a red level 4 and a white level 2, or just a red 5, and you will get the points marked, and you'll get this residual, which is at the end of every year you'll collect that money, and your residual will build up over the course of the game. You'll have 2 to a maximum of 5, and this is where obviously you draw these purple cards. This space here is important because you can use it either in the summer or the winter if you've got any workers left over, or you haven't got anything else to do. You can just place them there to get 1 money. If you use a worker in the summer, you can't use the same worker in the winter. Once it's down on the board, it stays on the board until the end of the year. So summing up for Viticulture. Viticulture is a board game that every wine drinking worker placement fan will adore. That's not Viticulture. Yes, it is very much like Agricola, and if you like Agricola, you might like this because this is lighter. This is easier than Agricola. This is easier for many reasons. The text on the cards is easier to read, and the actions are simple on the cards. You haven't got to bust your brain trying to think how you're going to use the card to get you the advantage. They're pretty much simple. They pretty much give you an opportunity to use an action space which is blocked by other players, or they give you the chance to do several actions at the same time. The other nice thing about the game is the grande worker, the bigger worker. He basically can go into a space and do that action even if all the spaces are blocked. He can't take the bonus, but he can do the action. So if you really needed to harvest that year, you just chuck your grande worker in. You've only got 1 grande worker, so you have to use him very, very wisely. The other nice thing is the simplicity of the game. All you have to do is get some vines, plant them, harvest them, turn the grapes into wine, sell the wine to get points and money, and win the game. The game is very, very, very simple to learn, and it's written here. It's written here how to play the game. The artwork is beautifully rustic. This board is double-sided, so you have all the text on one side, and on the back side it's clear, so you can play in other languages if need be. It's the same with the player boards. If you turn over, oh, there's no text, so you can play a clean version, and it's clean anyway, even with all that text on. The insert of the box, everything fits in beautifully. There's plenty of space for expansions. All the wooden components that you get in the game are fun to play with, right from the bottle down to the little cock. The player boards and the gems, little crystals here for marking what your grapes are and wine, are beautiful. Although if you are big busted and you're reaching across the table to get to the main player board, you do tend to knock them a bit. I wish there was a way of resolving this. Maybe like a PVC coating on top with little indentations where the numbers are, so you can drop these into nicely. Or maybe if the board itself was embossed, so there was a little drop zone if it was like a double layer piece of card where the top layer's got a hole in it. Okay, I like playing with these. These are nice to play with, these little crystal things for marking, and nice and smooth. The money is okay. If I was you and you're feeling good to yourself, I would upgrade to the metallic. It's a nice quality metallic coin, that is, and it's fun to play with and chink at the table. The rulebook, pretty small, very, very clear. After reading it once, you understand how to play the game. You don't even need to reference it. And if you have to reference it, there's a reference sheet here, which is on a nice big sturdy piece of card. And it just tells you everything perfectly there. So once you've read the rules, all you need is the reference sheet for your first couple of games, and afterwards you just plain sailing. The game itself, it plays relatively fast. It plays well with all numbers from 2 to 6 quite easily. The game speed, it starts at a moderate, nice pace, smooth, and then it steps up a gear, and at the end of the game, before you know it, it's finished. Someone has crossed the threshold of 20 points and the game is over, and you're cursing yourself because you wish you were watching what they were doing and you would have won. Ooh, maybe next time you'll win. If there's one thing bad that I have to say about this game, it is these cards. And it's not the fact that they're glossy and they slide about everywhere and then the piles just become just a heap of cards everywhere. It's the fact that you're drawing random. I love this game. This game has such a great feel for what I do out in the vineyard. Obviously I don't encompass all these facets of travail, work. I don't build structures. I just plant and I harvest and I prune and I look after everything. But you're drawing one grape card sometimes, and sometimes it's not the colour that you want, or it requires something that you didn't want to build. For example, your strategy might be just to build a trellis and not build an irrigation and just plant vines which just needed a trellis or no trellis whatsoever. And then you have to pay out more to get an irrigation because the cards that you've picked up, each time you pick one up every year, it requires an irrigation. Or it's the wrong colour. You've got whites already. You don't want whites, you want red grapes. Now any vigneron knows what seepage of grape that they want before they start planting a vine, and because they know what wine they want to make. So then you've got the wine orders. They're random. You draw one and it says, oh, for 6 points make a champagne of level 7 and a white wine level 4. Oh, brilliant, I get 6 points and 2 residual money. But if you just keep picking up some cards which are just 2 points and 1 residual money, it makes a difference to your strategy in your game. So you have to change your strategy. You can't start the game and go, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to build a trellis. I'm only going to build a medium-sized cellar because I don't want to spend too much money, but I want to build a cottage and a windmill and a tasting room because I want to get points that way. You can't do it if you're drawing the wrong cards. Then there's your visitor cards. Now, I can't really moan too much about these because they're random and it fits the theme. You never know who's going to come and stay at your cottage on your land, and it's nice that you get these and they're random. But again, the randomness can bulk your game down. You keep drawing cards which are no good to you. At the beginning of the game, if you draw, say, the broker, who transforms your money into points, you've got no money at the beginning of the game because you've used it to build your trellis, to start planting. And then you don't get any money until you've sold some wine, or you've made a tour, but you can't do a tour because everyone else has taken the tour space. These little things just bulk the game down for me. I wish there was a market for, say, just the grapes. That was the only thing. So you put 3 cards out, and then when you go to draw a card, you can take one of those 3 or draw a blind one. And that way, you know what you're planting, you know what you're going to grow, you know what wines you're going to go for. The same for the orders. If there were 3 out here, and then you could choose one, because you don't want to get big mega points at the beginning. You don't want to be stuck with a 6-pointer card which requires 2 types of rosé wine. You just want to get a nice small easy one which you can do in a small cellar, because that's how all vignerons start. Well, most of them. They don't all start with millions of dollars and build a really big cave to make really great wine. They always start off small and then build bigger. That is the only thing which bugs this game down for me, but everything else about it is just wonderful. One of the fantastic mechanics about this game is the wake up track in spring. This kind of mitigates any kind of luck in the game a bit. Not tremendously, but a bit. By choosing what time you're going to wake up, chooses your start order. Okay, and it also chooses a special bonus for you. So yeah, you could want an extra summer visitor or winter visitor card, or you might just need some more vine cards because you keep drawing the really bad ones, which gives you a good chance of going first if no one else puts their cock in front of you. But obviously, if you put it there, you've got a good chance of going first, picking the first place, and you get to draw 2 cards or 3 cards. Wonderful. So, if worker placement's your thing and shouting at decks of cards is your thing, Viticulture's your thing as well. It's a wonderful game. This game I adore a lot. In the couple of months that I've had it, I've played it around 40 odd times. Sometimes with other people, but mainly alone. Alone, you say? Well, yes. Tuscany is expansion for Viticulture, which has a solo variant in it, as well as lots of add-ons. Do these add-ons make this game better? Is the solo variant better than the one in Agricola? You'll have to watch my next video.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.